Hello, you have come to 5 Minutes Discovery. Today's news, the situation between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine left the Kinzhal missile in Russia's raid. Ukraine announced blocking 43 of Russian cruise and suicide UAV missiles, but to reach 2 super bullets exceeding the Kinzhal sound. The Ukrainian Air Force Command said that Russia in the morning deployed 12 kilo Henry's 101 555th cruise missiles, 2 super bullets exceeding Kinzhal and 31 drones, UAVs, suicide in Shard-136 131st style aimed at this country. The Air Defense Force has shot down all 12 cruise missiles Kh-101 555ths and 31 UAV committed suicide in the sky of Mykolaiv, Odessa, Dnipro, Poltava, Zaporizhia, Khmelnytsky, Kirovograd, Vinnytsia and Chernihiv, the agency this said, but did not mention 2 Kinzhal bullets. Ukraine's communication then announced the flight data of Russian missiles and UAVs, most of which aimed at Starokostianthiv in the Khmelnytsky province, the western region. The video posted on social networks also shows that Ukraine air defense fire has fierce fire, and the explosion in the sky of the Starokostianthiv area. The public aimed at Starokostianthiv military airport, because this is the place that is about to receive the F-16 fighter and has a rookie training school to operate the weapons supported by the West. The Russian Defense Ministry has not commented on information. Starokostianthiv airport has repeatedly suffered from large-scale Russian ambushes, because this is the key base of the Ukrainian Air Force and is the station of the Su-24 squadron equipped with the Storm Shadow guiding missile. Skal-PG for Britain and France. However, experts believe that there are many reasons why Moscow has not completely prevented the threat from the Storm Shadow, Skal-PG missile, forcing Russia to constantly raid the base of the Su-24M Ukraine squadron. Denmark Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said that Ukraine was expected to receive the first F-16 lot in June. Next month, Ukrainian officials also announced that some of the pilots have completed the F-16 fighter driving training course abroad. Mr. Zelensky invited U.S. leaders, attending Ukraine peace conference. President Zelensky urged Biden and Mr. Xi to attend the Ukrainian peace summit, saying the event will show who really wants to end the war. I call for world leaders to stand outside the global effort, including U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping, support the Harbin summit by showing the global leadership. And attend the event, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said today. The Peace Summit on Ukraine conflict is scheduled to be held in Lucerne City in Switzerland on June 15 to 16. In the video of the building in the building, Zelensky said the summit will show that I in the world really wants to end the war. He urged world leaders to promote real peace, instead of just pause. The Ukrainian leader emphasized that the efforts of the global majority will be the best guarantee for all commitments to be made. The Swiss government said it invited 160 delegations, but Russia would not attend. Zelensky said more than 80 countries have confirmed participation. Russia declared the summit that they were not invited would not mean anything. Zelensky's comment was made 2 days after Russian sources said that Putin was ready to pause the war in Ukraine through a ceasefire agreement, which recognized the current battles. The Russian Ministry of Defense today announced its force to control more Berestov settlement in Kharkov. Berestov is located in the eastern front near the Lugansk area, where Russia is almost completely controlled. In an interview with Reuters last week, Mr. Zelensky said it was important now that many countries agreed to sit at the peaceful negotiation table. Putin believes that negotiations can turn the Russian withdrawal request to Ukraine into ultimatum for Moscow. The possibility of NATO deployed troops to Ukraine and potential consequences. French President Emmanuel Macron, who first raised the plan to deploy the force of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, to Ukraine to fight Russia, stated that, no red boundary, no border. Related to the war in Ukraine, France is establishing an alliance including countries that are ready to send Western forces to Ukraine. French Foreign Minister Franz Stéphane Séjourné came to Lithuania to discuss these issues. In Lithuania, Séjourné meets his Baltic level people in Ukraine and speaks for the idea that foreign forces can support Ukraine in areas such as mine clearance. At a meeting chaired by Lithuania Gabrielius Landsbergis and attended by his Ukrainian counterpart Dmytro Kuleba, Mr. Séjourné criticized Russia harshly, saying, "Russia has no right to tell us that we how should Ukraine be helped in the next months or years? The work of Russia is not to organize the operation for us or set red boundaries. Therefore, we will decide on ourselves. Even all European countries, including Germany, Czech Republic and Poland, stated that they did not plan to send troops to Ukraine, despite the most incident. Mr. Macron's decision is needed to do so. But there are also changes in water. Poland was the original country that opposed Macron's proposal, but recently changed its position. Meanwhile, the three countries of the Baltic region, which are thought to be most likely to be attacked by Russia if Moscow succeeds in the war against Ukraine, is much more open to the proposal of the French president, especially Lithuania. Since March 2024, Foreign Minister Lithuania, Mr. Gabrielius Landsbergis, said, "Russia has no right to tell us how we should help Ukraine in the months or in the coming years. Russia's work is not an organization for us or set red boundaries. Therefore, we will decide on our own." Russia, her country, is ready to send troops to Ukraine to perform training tasks. For his part, Kiev has not requested Lithuania to send troops to Ukraine to perform training tasks. This may be due to the US influence on Ukraine, because in fact, the US opposed even Ukraine's use of domestic production weapons to target Russian territory. Therefore, the use of weapons of NATO countries in a potential attack of Kiev into Russian territory is considered high risk. The appointment of NATO soldiers to Ukraine also faced the same risk. Mr. Zelensky lost his status as president of Ukraine. Putin said Volodymyr Zelensky was no longer a legal president of Ukraine because the term had ended, emphasizing that Moscow needs to identify the representative of Kiev when negotiating. We all know that the legitimacy of the current Ukrainian heads has ended. I think one of the goals of the upcoming summit in Switzerland is for the Western community, sponsors to the own itself. Ukraine's right to confirm this person's status, Russian President Vladimir Putin said at a press conference with his counterpart Belarus Alexander Lukashenko on May 24. According to the Ukrainian constitution, President Zelensky's 5-year term ended on May 20 and the country had to organize the presidential election 2 months earlier. However, Mr. Zelensky maintained a military law in Ukraine and asked not to organize the election until the conflict ended. The Kremlin boss affirmed that Moscow was not the side to end up with Kiev in 2022, emphasizing that the West urged Ukraine to continue fighting to push Russia into a strategic defeat on the battlefield. We start witnessing the discussions about peaceful negotiations that reappear. Let that happen, but not based on the requirements of one party, but must be based on muscle principles agreements. The village was achieved after difficult negotiations in Belarus and Turkey, as well as the actual situation in the battlefield. President Putin said that Moscow needs to determine who directly signs binding legal documents if negotiating peace with Kiev. It is necessary to make sure that Russia is dialogue with Ukraine's legal leadership. This is a problem that Ukrainian political and law system must solve itself, in which the first step is to study what is written in constitution, he said. Ukrainian officials have not commented on these statements. Palace spokesman Kremlin Dmitry Peskov said that Zelensky's term will not affect the conflict in Ukraine, confirming that Russia's campaign will continue. The official also said that the people of Ukraine would soon ask questions about the legality for Zelensky's position. President Zelensky once announced that he would not participate in any ceasefire agreement under Russian terms. He affirmed that he would regain the entire lost territory, including Crimea, and signed an order to affirm all negotiations with President Putin as impossible. 5 Russian officials hidden on May 24 told Reuters that the two sides would not reach an agreement when Zelensky was still in power, unless Russia directly worked with the United States. However, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken last week said that he did not believe the Russian leader intended to seriously talk. The video coming here is the end. If you feel good, remember to like and follow and remember to click the notification button to update the news and the next stories.